Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, 18 Hours daily initiative that celebrates the undying entrepreneurial spirit of micro, small and medium enterprises. We do a lot of on-ground events, 15 in fact, across the length and breadth of the country to connect better with you, the MSME entrepreneur. We were in Chennai recently and I had a panel of experts to talk about all things innovation and entrepreneurship. Here's what they had to say. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the three gentlemen that I have with me on the panel, and let me start with my immediate right. I have Maran Nagarajan. He's the governing council member of Tide Chennai. He's also the executive chairman and vice and vision holder of Car Technologies. Thank you so much for being here. I have Hanif Sattar. He's the director at Hasbro Clothing. Thank you for your presence this evening. And I have Badri Sheshadri, last but not the least, MD of New Horizon Media. He's also the co-founder of Cricinfo. Thank you all very much for being here today. And the topic for today's conversation is really innovation and mentoring. And I want to kick things off by talking about innovation, get quick opening comments from each of you about innovation and how MSMEs can innovate more, can make innovation really a part of their DNA.
In this world of transformation, where the digital transformation is happening extremely in a faster pace, it doesn't matter what size you are, whether you are a large behemoth or you're a small MSME, it just doesn't matter. Your business is under threat is something you need to be cognizant of. So getting innovation, bringing innovation and bringing digital transformation into your own business is not a choice anymore. It is not an option anymore. It is absolutely mandatory.
I want you to talk to our entrepreneurs and our MSMEs here about Hasbro Clothing and about Basics Life. Talk to us about the journey and very briefly, what are the lessons that you've learned along the way and what advice would you have for them?
Well, the lessons that I learned yesterday are not relevant today anymore. That's to start with. You know, it's very unfortunate, but at the same time, it's very gratifying because the lessons that I know, most of my competition doesn't know. So the path becomes clear when you're ready to unlearn more than you're ready to learn. Resting on our laurels is not going to take us anywhere. So because the world is becoming so quick, the world is changing so quickly, and more than anything else, if you're not up to the pace, you might as well get out of the race. So things are becoming so irrelevant so quickly, market shifts are happening so quick, that you actually better be scared. Because if you're not scared, you're not going to be ready for the challenges that are coming your way.
I want to come to you, Badri. Now, even as you're talking about innovation and saying innovation right now is not just, you know, a choice anymore, I want to talk to you about knowing your finances and being able to understand your finances, right? And financial literacy, and what advice you would have for our MSMEs in terms of going about making themselves financially literate.
The first thing is, I think most of us entrepreneurs really don't learn about reading the balance sheet and P&L. We don't really understand, I mean, most of us, I'm not talking about everyone, there are probably people with the right kind of background who do understand that. But it took me quite a while. You know, I was entirely dependent upon the accountants and the finance managers to tell me about the numbers. That's a big mistake, actually. So you have to get down to reading or learning the basics of the fundamentals of the business, which is the numbers, basically. And a mistake here can completely destroy you, especially in a small company kind of a setup. Okay. I mean, we have, you know, in managing Cricinfo at a certain crucial point in time, we screwed up big time. Basically, kept paying wrong people and not paying the right kind of people, and you know, the whole service almost came to a standstill. I don't know whether there is actually a proper, you know, a learning platform for entrepreneurs to learn about the fundamentals of finance today, other than in books. You know, maybe reschooling yourself, actually going to an evening school for about, you know, a nearby college. If they can come up with innovative courses for entrepreneurs, that will be very useful. I think it is very crucial, really.
And if I want to come back to you, and you were talking earlier about, you know, Nungabakkam, for example, having the carpet pulled out from under its feet. How do you, especially in the business that you're in, and therefore advise for our entrepreneurs who could possibly be in the same space? How do you differentiate yourself, particularly when the market that you're in is so fragmented and is so competitive?
So you have to be ready to fail. So if you're not ready to fail, you're never going to try. Most of us don't get ahead because we want to succeed at everything that we do. I think the moment you're prepared to fail, you won't stop trying. So I think with only guts will you get the glory. You'll never get the glory without the guts. I think you need to be on the ground. You need to be ready to fail. You need to go out there every single day and try. Because the truth is, it's not very easy to succeed. And success is very relative. So the probability theory will always work against you. That's how life is.
Maran, let me bring you in at this point in the conversation. You started your company in 2006. You now are in a role where you lead the vision, you lead the strategy. Talk to us about how a company like yours that has been in existence for so many years can continue to maintain the ethos with which you've started it.
See, in the beginning days, the most of the attitude I tell people all the time is that you carry the role, carry the mindset of an owner. Now, the owner is the kind of mindset everybody starts with. Everybody, when is asked, what do you want to become? Why do you want to become an entrepreneur? The immediate thing is, I don't want to report to anybody. I want to make my own destiny. I want to charter my own path, is the usual stories that you hear. But the reality is, when you start an enterprise and start moving with it, then you are far more responsible, far more committed, or far more answerable to too many other parameters. It's just not only about you anymore. It's about too many people. It's about your employees, your family, society, your crediting system, customers. The whole ecosystem explodes. So your responsibility goes multifold. So in that sense, in the beginning, you have to slowly make a mind shift from the owner mindset to a leader mindset. And in the beginning, it is you who have to teach your organization what that leadership means. And over a period of time, it becomes important to institutionalize that leadership.
You're also very closely associated, of course, with TiE here in Chennai. And I want to talk about mentoring at this point. What advice do you give the companies that you see and the companies that you advise and that you work with as part of TiE about the role that mentors can play for MSMEs and entrepreneurs?
See, every MSME or every early stage business or every small stage business, for that matter, even the large sized business also, needs to have a mentor. It is an absolute essential because no one can know everything on their own. It is all the time, there are many people who have been there, who have seen that, who have done that, who have experienced it. So it is extremely essential that you create a pool of mentors or a few mentors whom you can confide with. And what is essential is, for all the entrepreneurs, when they are in the thick of the problems and thick of the difficulties, it is essential to go and hear from somebody that, yes, this is not a unique problem. This is something you can come out by these ways. So it is important to have that kind of a sounding board conversation. So a mentorship is a must, in my opinion.
Hanif, for an organization that's the size that you are, how do you mentor the employees within your organization?
Our organization is set in a way where we have a head of a department. And then, like we have 8 key departments in our company: design, manufacturing, digital, warehousing, logistics, finance. And where we have one key person who's also the head of the department in that department. And what we do is we mentor him to be a leader. Most leaders don't know the trick of letting go. That's my take on how leaders are. I think the way to mentor people would be to let go and let them make mistakes. Another thing is, I think leaders can't tolerate subordinates making mistakes. I think the only way to learn, because all of us have learned by making mistakes. So the only way to learn is to let them make mistakes and be gracious about it and say that, yeah, that's part of the learning process. So in our company, we just mentor the 8 people and then they go ahead and mentor the rest of the people.
All right, it's time for a very quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll continue this very fascinating conversation, continue bringing you snippets of that on the other side.
Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and we're bringing you a panel discussion that I did recently in Chennai, talking about innovation as well as MSMEs and entrepreneurship. Take a listen.
Maran, even as Badri is talking about SBI, what about those companies that don't have, say, for example, an SBI on board and therefore get mentoring from an SBI? What about those companies that, for example, are not being mentored by a TIE? Or have received VC or PE funding? Where do they then go for mentors?
I want to point all the MSMEs to one institution called as YES. I don't know how many of you have heard about that. Young Entrepreneur School. It's a please, I think it is completely made up of MSMEs. And I very frequently address YES, and I work very actively with them. It is Young Entrepreneur School is a Chamber of Commerce initiative from the Madurai, and there are more than 12 chapters which are started all over Tamil Nadu, and very vibrant community, very vibrant community. They have clusters, they have forums, they take industrial tours, industrial trips, they talk about the one particular industry's problems, there is an advocacy towards the government, there is a policy initiative, there is a financial institution bridge, so they're really good, they're really too good, and they address typically the MSME sector. So I really encourage all of the people here to look for that YES, Young Entrepreneur School, which makes a big difference in their lives.
But you started Cricinfo with partners. How essential is it in the life cycle of MSMEs and entrepreneurs to really have partners? Would you advise it?
Yes, I would. You need at least one partner, probably two, but many in a business environment may actually prove to be counterproductive. And one of the three current ventures that I am involved in, there's always one other partner. I don't start anything alone on my own. There has to be a sounding board. There has to be a sounding board, preferably someone who challenges you. So that's very important actually.
But that's the pro. Are there any cons?
If you restrict the numbers to 2 or 3, there is always this challenge of finding the right partner. You should obviously know this person. It's not someone that you have just come together for building this business. Then you are likely to get into problems. I mean, that person should be your friend otherwise.
Sure. And if you work with your brother, you started the company rather with your brother, and I want you to talk to our entrepreneurs and our MSMEs about tips and tricks of working with family, and is it always a question of professionally run versus family owned, or can the two coexist?
If you're working with just a partner, I think it's a single challenge. But if you're working with a partner who is also your brother, then it's twice the challenge. Because it is an obvious challenge. It is a very obvious one. Because you're trying to manage a relationship which is not business, and you're also trying to manage a relationship which is purely business. So it's 2x. But then the upside is again 20x. Because if the vision is common, and if the objective is the same, then I don't think you can get a better partner than your own brother.
Do you see a lot of companies that come to you as part of TIE, which are family run? What advice do you give them?
It's important to choose the partner very wisely. And as he clearly said, if you have your common objective, if you have the common vision, I think that's the only way you can align and move forward. Otherwise, managing this relationship becomes a very complex thing at one particular point, and unless you align and be cohesive, you can't move forward. So it's very important to bring that, and as a founder, it has a role to play there as well. And for the next question, as you said, TIE has more of the new gen entrepreneurs and partner driven entrepreneurs than the family entrepreneurs in its ecosystem.
We have a call-in show on the Leaders of Tomorrow, and the feedback that we get from a lot of our viewers is that they find it very difficult to raise funds because they're family-run businesses, because venture capital, private equity, or banks are raising questions on family-run businesses. What advice do you have?
Most of the time in an MSMEs, in the family-run business, what I see as a problem is not the brothers, but it's the previous generation. It is the previous generation which is usually not allowing them to experiment or try new things or move forward. So most of the times, what I hear in the whenever I interact with the MSME entrepreneurs is that our parents are not allowing, our family is not allowing us to do this. They are just used to the same old way of doing business, and no innovation is allowed. So most of them feel suffocated. So that's a real true problem. So the previous generation has a difficulty in letting go. So that's a problem which is very dominant. But I think if you have the drive, you need to find a way to break it and find your path.
And if I want to talk to you about managing offline stores like yourself in a digital age when a lot of people are now selling online, how do you do that?
Retail is all about experience. It's only experience. So, and the differentiator between an offline store and an online store is purely experience. The reason why somebody walks into an offline store is because he wants to take that good factor of shopping, touch and feel away, as opposed to an online store when, you're almost like a social outcast. All over the world, anywhere you go in the world today, they are integrating online and offline, because we all understand that it's never going to be one or the other. It's never going to be like that. It's not going to be like people are just going to resort to online. Imagine if people had to just sit down and watch Kabali at home. It's not going to happen. You need to go to the theater, you need to scream, you need to shout, you need to hear everybody, you need the buzz. So I think it's the same. I don't think theaters will go out of style. I don't think people will only watch entertainment on their television. I think that the mobile phone has become the most expensive piece of real estate on the planet. I don't think there's more expensive real estate than the mobile phone. 6 square inches, and the amount of stuff you can do on it is insane. But that's how we are moving ahead. So we have a revenue stream which is offline, which is 120 stores. We also have online sales by participating in Marketplace, and we have our own basicslife.com. And of course, we have exports. So we have close to 8 streams of revenue. So at no point in time will we ever be dependent on any one stream of revenue, because then you're in danger of getting marginalized.
All right, gentlemen, let me get very quick closing comments from all of you. I want to start with you, Maran. If there's one piece of advice that you have for our viewers, what would it be?
The one thing at least helped in our business to scale is the focus that we held on ourselves into, because it was extremely tempting along the way to lose your focus and put your eggs in too many baskets, or even to keep attempting too many new things. But we held on to our principle of the focus and said, we are a specialist in SAP consulting, and today we are the largest pure play in India and also the largest pure play SAP consulting in the Middle East as well.
Sure.
So the focus really helps, because the focus helps you build the depth, it helps you build the expertise, the focus helps you build the mastery over whatever that one thing that you're doing. If you keep doing it again and again, you build a spectacular delivery for what you do, and that helps you scale. So don't lose the focus. Whatever you're doing, stay focused.
Okay. Hanif, I want to come to you. I'll come to you last. There's a reason for that. But Hanif, in one line, what advice will you have for our audience?
I've been dating Napoleon Hill since I was a child. So there's one line of his which I'm going to tell you all, which I cherish. So it goes like this: cherish your dreams and your desires, for they are the children of your soul and the blueprints of your ultimate achievements.
Amazing. The reason I wanted to come to you last, I was reading a previous interview of yours where you said that if you want to become an entrepreneur, hate academics. Is that what you want to leave our audience with?
In a sense, I mean, at least from my background, if I had focused myself too much in academics, I wouldn't have come into this at all. So somewhere along the way, if you want to get into real life and do things on the ground, you have to quit academics, and that we have seen in the case of all the great big brands of the internet, from Google to Apple to Facebook. So quit academics, yes.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. It was a very enlightening conversation.
Pleasure.
Completely out of time then on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow, but do remember we always welcome feedback from our viewers. You can write in to us at leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com. You can reach us on social media using the hashtag LOT, or call us on that number which you see on your screens. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.